News Talk KVNU.
The information from the pretty balanced perspective.
Online at kvnutalk.com and on the KVNU mobile app.
KVNU News Time is 5:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. A big announcement came last week from Utah Governor Spencer Cox, joined at the podium by USU President Noel Cockett, announcing the official launch of a new school of research at USU that will be called the Janet Quinney Lawson Institute of Land, Water, and Air. Its goal is to provide a resource for policymakers, for county and city leaders, and for citizens to understand better what the situation is when it comes to these precious commodities. On KVNU's For the People program last week, Dr. Chris Lukey, Dean of the Quinney College of Natural Resources, talked about what they hope this new school will accomplish.
It's going to be a really good opportunity for us to enhance the collaborations that we already have with a lot of state and federal agencies. But what we hope to do is do a little more of a directed focus on some of the issues and have the state and federal agencies help direct what do they most need information on, and then we can work together to design research and monitoring plans and that sort of thing. So, yeah, a lot of our faculty will be involved in this over the years.
He hopes this will help bridge the gap between available research and public policy issues.
About 4 years ago, the legislature provided us some funds to do something called the Water Initiative and also the Public Lands Initiative. And those were unique situations, unique programs, in that the idea was that we could get university researchers would have to work with some sort of a city, county agency or a state agency or federal agency to provide matching funds. So the two groups would get equal amounts of money to direct toward a problem.
Dr. Lukey said that often helped that level of communication, and they are hoping that this institute will do an even better job of that and bring people together to work on the most pressing problems. KVNU News Time is 5:07. KVNU weather for tonight, partly cloudy this evening, then becoming mostly cloudy. Haze and areas of fog. Overnight low 10 to 15. Areas of fog Wednesday morning and then haze through the day. Slight chance of snow in the afternoon. Mostly cloudy mid-30s. 50% chance of snow Wednesday night. Snow likely Thursday morning, then rain and snow in the afternoon with accumulations possible. High temperature around 40 degrees. It's been to 31. Right now it's 18 at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Berenson Caldwell. When the bills from your accident pile up, it's time for you to consider professional legal advice. It's time for you to get the bear. Berenson Caldwell. Visit berensonlaw.com.
Is your family visiting for the holidays, or are they already here? Well, they have laundry to do using your machines, and it'll take away hours from your family time. We'll send them to Mount Logan Laundry with the large 55 and 80-pound washers and dryers that dry 30% faster. They'll find clean, comfortable environment with free Wi-Fi internet and drop-off service, and they'll be back in no time. Recommend Mount Logan Laundry. They're at 5th East and 9th North in Logan, or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South. Mount Logan Laundry, the cleanest spot in town.
KVNU News Time is 5:08. A 42-year-old Logan man is being bound over on the charge of downloading child pornography. Avery Jones waived his rights to a preliminary hearing where a judge would have determined whether or not there was sufficient evidence to justify the criminal case. Avery participated in a virtual hearing in First District Court Monday morning. He was previously charged with one count of sexual exploitation of a minor, a second-degree felony. Defense attorney Shannon Demler said Avery wished to waive the preliminary hearing as they work out a possible plea deal with prosecutors. He also entered a plea of not guilty to the charge for his client. Avery spoke only briefly, telling the court he was willing to waive his rights to the preliminary hearing. He was scheduled to appear again in court on January 24th. And a man accused of kidnapping and raping a Utah college student met her through the online messaging app Kik, according to an arrest report. 31-year-old Brent Brown is being held in the Sevier County Jail without bail on charges of aggravated kidnapping, rape, and obstruction of justice. Investigators alleged Brown kidnapped Snow College student, a 19-year-old Madeline Allen, after the pair met in a Kik chat group about sexual fantasies and arranged to meet on December 13th. According to the arrest report, Brown said his interaction with Allen was part of a bondage sexual role play. However, police said the victim was held against her will in a coal storage area in the basement of Brown's home in Wayne County. Kik is a messaging app that has been of particular concern for law enforcement, including the Utah Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. While the task force is not directly involved in the investigation of Brown, the task force and the Utah Attorney General's office have previously warned about Kik. A blog post from the Utah AG's office said that Kik is an app that parents are unlikely to know about. It's a place where inappropriate sexual content and behavior can thrive, and the app is a common avenue for sexting. KVNU News Time is 5:11. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
News Talk KVNU.
Thank you for voting Adams Wealth Advisors the gold winner for Best Financial Planner in the Best of Northern Utah competition. Understanding your family, jobs, and goals is how Adams Wealth Advisors will continue to earn your trust.
This is Craig Adams. At Adams Wealth Advisors, we are here to help you receive peace of mind whether you've done a lot of planning or a little planning. Count on our team at Adams Wealth Advisors for honesty, professionalism, and integrity.
Visit AdamsWealthAdvisors.com or call 752-1702 to schedule a time with an advisor today. Please see AdamsWealthAdvisors.com for more information on these recent awards.
Merry Christmas, Aggie Nation, from your friends at Locker 42. You've been asking, and they're finally here. These Old Main Christmas ornaments have just arrived. These ornaments look amazing and will hang proudly from your Christmas tree. It's a perfect gift for anybody who loves the fighting blue and white. And Locker 42 also has Mountain West Conference Championship gear available. Commemorative T-shirts are $18, long sleeve $24. Merry Christmas from Locker 42.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. We need to talk about something serious. I know you love me, I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Jill, why don't you tell the class what you did this weekend?
Well, my dad and I went in search of some magical minnows and found a zillion of them in the stream from our lookout rock. Then my sister and I escaped from an evil slug king and went back to my super twig fort for safety. Then we told stories till it got dark, and the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Where were you, Jill?
We went to the forest. It's not that far away.
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Feels like Tuesday. Tuesday has no feel.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Hour 2 of today's show. It's Tuesday, December 21st. By the way, shortest day of the year, meaning that tomorrow is not. Meaning starting tomorrow, the days get longer. And it's just a slow crawl back into that favorite time of year for me. June, light until almost 10 o'clock. I've, speaking of that, this is coming back in the legislative session yet again. I'm neutral, to be honest with you, on ending daylight savings time, except if we are going to make a change. Some people are actually, and I call these people absolutely loony, some people are actually pushing for us to stay on the time we're on now.
You mean a standard time?
Yeah.
So stay on standard time year-round.
Yeah. Which I think is just a ridiculous suggestion.
So sundown in the early June would be 8:30.
Yeah,
8:15.
Yeah, and then this, I get that you're trying to maximize daylight time in the wintertime, but what are you really achieving? Because it's still this. And so, to me, if you have to choose between shorter summer nights when the weather's great or slightly shorter, a lot shorter winter days, to me, it's a no-brainer which you'd choose. So my vote is if we are going to make a change, we spring forward one more time and then never change again. This would also make it a lot easier to pair up with other states. Anyway, to me, it makes more sense that way. And I guarantee it makes more sense to our agricultural community as well. But we'll see where that goes. Surprisingly, I am actually surprised this never happened here in Utah. But it is coming back in the legislative session, and so we'll have that debate again. And the reason I say I'm neutral is, let's be honest, folks, for most of us. Now, there are some serious sides to daylight savings time. There's actually a significant amount of data that says it can be very harmful. It can cause health problems. There are actually upticks in medical events after daylight savings time, after the switch. Sorry, not just the daylight savings time, but every time the clocks change. That's a big deal. I have a friend who, and I've teased him for years about this, but it really is something that impacts him. In fact, it got him in trouble at his job once, but it would take him about a week to adjust. Some people's bodies are just like that. For me, daylight savings time or falling back are basically changing clocks, which you don't really have to do anymore. I have one clock that I have to get. You can't spin it backwards, and I want to take it off the wall to touch the dials. So I have to get something long and spin it all the way around until it's at the right hour. It takes me 4 to 7 minutes. I'll live. It's a minor inconvenience. And that's, I think, what most of us experience. It's not that big of a deal to switch back and forth. But again, there are people who are very, very negatively impacted by the disruption to their sleep time, their sleep schedule. Like I said, I have a friend who, and this is legitimate, he's not making it up, but it literally takes him about a week before his body has kind of adjusted to that different sleep schedule that his body thinks he's on, even though the clocks say you're not. His body thinks he's on a different sleep schedule, and it really throws him off, and his performance at work suffered, and he got in trouble once for that. More seriously, again, data that shows heart events, incidents of minor to major strokes, they do actually uptick after the clock change. So not a lot, but it's noticeable enough that the data is collected and watched. So I'm not against us doing away with the switch. I'm not attached to it. I just throw that disclaimer on there that for 99% of us, it's a minor inconvenience that we just like to whine about. For that 1%, it can be very serious. If that's enough to make the change, so be it. As long as we spring forward one more time and don't fall back ever again. If we don't spring forward, if they pass a change bill in this upcoming legislative session and we never spring forward, well, I mean, I'll be fine, actually. But, man, what a waste of those amazing June and July nights when it stays light that late and it's warm weather. If you're going to shortchange yourself out of the winter days when it's already too cold to go outside and do anything. Don't cheat yourself out of summertime. That's my vote. The bill file has been opened. Lawmaker putting his name on this is Representative Spendlove from down in the southern part of the state. It is traditional to other daylight savings bills that we've seen pop up again and again and again. I think this will be the 14th attempt. How does this fail, a listener asks? That's actually a great question, and it's never been made clear. Usually when a bill that has a lot of public support still fails, it's because of some aggressive lobbying. Someone with a lot of money and a lot of influence has gotten the ear of lawmakers, or at least the Speaker of the House or the Senate President, and the bill dies before it's even voted on. That's almost every time what's happened with the Daylight Savings Bill, which has proposed to spring forward one more time, never fall back again. There was one bill that suggested we fall back one more time, never spring forward again, and thankfully that bill never made it out of committee for a vote. So lawmakers at least seem to be of the right minds on that, in my opinion. But will this be the year? I don't know. What kills the bill in the past? I mean, this is a great question from a listener. I don't know. There are education groups that have lobbied for the change one way or another because of, when kids are going to school. Will they be going to school in the dark? Because here's the thing. This is a pretty serious thing to consider. If I get my way and we spring forward one more time and never fall back, kids will be going to school in the dark in the wintertime. And that could be problematic. We might have to change some things. That said, I'm also a believer in a growing mountain of research that we're starting school too early as it is. Kids' brains are not on by then. So we're wasting a good hour of the day, and there's a lot of science backing that up. So I think we could make some other changes rather than cheat ourselves out of summertime long days. Again, I'll live if we don't, but I'll be mad. So what kills the bill every time? I thought about it, and so I finally reached out. I reached out to former staffers that I know in the Utah State Senate and House and asked them for their opinion, and there were various opinions. Some said it was basically the agricultural lobby through the Utah Farm Bureau and through the Utah Department of Ag and Food. They basically came to lawmakers and said, we've got to be careful about this. It can impact so many things, and maybe we should just leave it alone because everyone is used to this, and you have entire family farms that have been run for generations, and you haven't talked to them yet. You haven't consulted them yet. Maybe you should. That's what killed it one time. Another staffer told me that the second time was basically that the lawmaker sponsoring it just kind of annoyed everyone because he wouldn't stop talking about it the entire session and acted like it was the most important bill ever. And they knew he was actually just trying to position himself to run for Senate. Luckily, he was thwarted in that effort, but that was another reason it died a following year or a few years later. But one staffer finally said they have no idea. They asked lawmakers themselves, why does this bill die when it has public support, at least enough that a bill would usually pass? You could usually predict with that much public support it'll pass, and then it dies every time. And this staffer said they quizzed lawmakers about this when they worked on the bill one year, 2013. And the staffer said, we don't know. Everyone was on board. The committee was on board. We did some vote whipping. We had Republicans and Democrats enough in the House to pass it and enough in the Senate to pass it. And then when the vote came, it died. Never made it out of the House. And they still don't know why. So the mystery of daylight savings time ending bills in Utah. We'll get another shot at it. Again, the bill was opened today by Representative Robert Spendlove from down south. And he is going to run basically the same bill that we've seen every time, a bill that would have a spring forward one more time and never fall back again. Check it out. I've linked to it on our Facebook page, and that debate will be coming up in the legislative session, which kicks off second to last week in January. We'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
If you think it's expensive to hire a professional, just wait until you hire an amateur.
Why the heck is the roof leaking? Larry, you said you got it fixed.
I thought it was fixed, Donna. Everything was fine until it started raining.
Larry, that's the point of fixing the roof, is so we can actually live here when it's stormy outside.
This is David with Roof Rescue. Our experienced roofing team is tried and true and will fix your roof guaranteed. Visit roofrescueusa.com to schedule your free roof inspection. Roof Rescue, providing watertight peace of mind.
The gift department at S.E. Needham Jewelers has something wonderful for the special people on your Christmas list. When you want a cherished keepsake that will be kept for generations, S.E. Needham's is the place. Choose visually stunning Yadro figurines, the gorgeous tone of European music boxes, elegant home decor, and much more. In a world where many gifts are eventually broken, outdated, and thrown away, choose a gift with lasting meaning. For the people and occasions that matter most, visit S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
back to KVNU's For the People. Al Lewis and Game Day pregame coming up tonight right after the show. 6:05 when they'll kick off tonight. And then tomorrow night, refresh me on the time, Bill. Tomorrow night, Logan?
Yeah.
I think it's 7:30. I'm Googling. I should have been prepared for this. I was prepared to say Al's following us tonight with the Aggie Game Day, but I wasn't prepared for the Logan question. I believe it's 7:30 tomorrow night when the Logan game gets underway. I'm clicking fast.
Let's see. Oh, I don't have a time on this one. But it's
7.
I think it's
Found
7,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, Logan taking on Preston at 7.
Yeah, because they're hosting. Logan is hosting.
That's right. And that will be tomorrow night here on KVNU. Mountain Crest is on KLZX at 3:30. Was this afternoon on at 3:30. But tonight you still have Bear River at Box Elder on the Ranch, 104.5. Green Canyon at Grantsville at 7 p.m. also on 100.9 Light FM. And Skyview at Madison in Idaho. Yesterday I said there is no broadcast for the Skyview game. That has changed. Skyview at Madison will actually broadcast on the Fan next door. I'm pointing across the hall here, or across the studio next door, where Eric and Ajay are going at it, yelling at each other over sports-related things. 106.9 The Fan.
Ajay looks calm for a
that's right,
for a change.
106.9 The Fan at 7:30 tonight for that Skyview game. Again, yesterday we said that would have no broadcast. We were able to work something out. So broadcast live at 7:30, that Skyview game. And again, Green Canyon, Bear River at 7 on 104.9 The Ranch and 100.9 Light FM, respectively. Mountain Crest has already played, and the Aggies about to. So Al Lewis again tonight at 6:05 for Aggie Game Day.
I just got to mention another sports thing. I know the guys across, in the next studio are covering
probably
all
already
this stuff.
Talking about it.
Wyoming just beat Kent State in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, and so their coach Craig Bull, he's been the Cowboys coach now for several years now. But usually they dunk the winning coaches with cold Gatorade.
Yeah.
But it's late December in Boise.
So unpleasant.
So
what is it up there today? Like single digits, I think.
Probably. Well, it's only 16 here.
Yeah.
So anyway, they dunked him with a big vat, a Gatorade tub of French fries. No Gatorade, just French fries.
Oh, Idaho potatoes. So. I get it. I get it.
I don't know if other teams have done that for the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Is that a new tradition, or
I've never seen it before. I like the tradition, though. Although, I'll be honest with you, if somebody dumps a tub of French fries over me, I'm just going to sit there and eat them.
Yeah, I'm going to think, man, don't let them hit the ground.
Yeah, and please make it Five Guys fries. I love their fries.
There you go. Yeah. Just get a paper bag ready so you can catch as many as you can.
As many as you can
on their way down.
Oh man! Coming up, a couple of different things. Some more sports related stuff. A rant from me. I've gone from maybe we should talk about it to let's absolutely do away with campus police departments after a third story and second lawsuit is now active against a Utah School of Higher Education. In this case, 2 schools being sued in this latest story for the same thing: mishandling allegations of sexual assault when the allegations are made against an athletic star. It's a problem, but incompetence among these police departments seems to be a recurring theme, to say the least. We'll talk about what the lawsuit's all about, why it involves 2 universities, how it ties into the story from last week of a lawsuit against USU for the same exact thing, and how we could actually go about doing away with campus police departments. Hint, it's going to take a lot of state funding to do that. One thing to check out, no surprise here, but at CashValleyDaily.com, a story on this. The data is finally out, and again, not a surprise, but the rate is lower than I thought. 2020 officially, and 2021 likely to be the same, the lowest growth rate the United States has seen in decades. A lot of reasons for that, but what turns it around? That's the big question. check it out. The data itself in the story at CashValleyDaily.com, and we've reached out to some experts on this. They'll be joining us on the show next week. What does it mean if the birth rate stays this low post-pandemic, if there is such a thing? We'll talk about it next week on the show. Right now, a look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:30. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Northern Steel Buildings. The Utah Department of Health on Tuesday, their report of 811 new COVID cases also includes 21 new deaths since Monday, 3 of which involve residents of northern Utah. With the deaths of 2 Box Elder County residents, a man and a woman, both between 45 and 64 years of age, and a Cache County woman 65 to 84, the northern Utah COVID death toll has grown to 194. The total coronavirus case count in Utah during 21 months of the pandemic has now reached 621,008. The virus has claimed the lives of 3,738 Utahns. There were 51 new COVID cases reported in northern Utah since Monday. The district's total case count grew to 34,821. There are now 33,892 considered to be recovered. And within the district, 1,636 people have been hospitalized over the course of the pandemic. A billionaire who is believed to be the wealthiest person originally from Utah has formally resigned his membership in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and rebuked the faith over social issues and LGBTQ rights. The Salt Lake Tribune reports Jeff T. Green has pledged to donate 90% of his estimated $5 billion advertising technology wealth, starting with a donation to a Utah LGBTQ rights group. Green said he has not been active in the faith for over a decade, but wanted to remove his name from membership records. The church did not immediately return a message seeking comment. And the University of Utah says its racist incident team is looking into separate reports of men dressed like the KKK in dorms and excrement smeared on a door of a black student's room. The Salt Lake Tribune reports the incidents were reported in the fall but drew attention Sunday night after a student questioned on Instagram why they had not been addressed. A university spokesperson says initial investigations were inconclusive, but housing officials and campus police are now reviewing the incidents again. KVNU News Time is 5:32.
Santa's sleigh carries lots of toys for girls and boys, but it's not quite big enough to fit a real building. Northern Steel Buildings can build you that custom building you've always wanted in a timely fashion. They specialize in custom buildings from commercial, industry, warehousing, shop, agriculture, and aviation that's built to last. Schedule a free consultation at northernsteelbuilding.com. That's northernsteelbuilding.com, or call them at 435-677-7300. That's 677-7300. Value from concept to construction.
KVNU weather for tonight, partly cloudy this evening, then mostly cloudy. Haze and areas of fog, overnight low 10 to 15. On Wednesday, areas of fog in the morning, haze through the day, a slight chance of snow in the afternoon, mostly cloudy mid-30s. And then a 50% chance of snow Wednesday night. Snow likely Thursday morning, rain and snow in the afternoon. Accumulations possible, high temperature around 40 degrees. It's been to 31. It's down to 17 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. Don't pay for the expense of dry cleaning when you can clean your items at Mount Logan Laundry for much less. Located at 5th East, 9th North in Logan, and 1st East, 7th South in Brigham City. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
I'm Chip Davis of Mannheim Steamroll. Well, it's Christmas Eve, and today you might be asked the big question, how can Santa do it all in just one night? The answer lies in both science and magic. Clearly, Santa is magical, and Albert Einstein clearly shows us that if you can travel at or near the speed of light, time slows down. And there it is. Magically, Santa and his 8 tiny reindeer do just that. It may take him hundreds of hours, but for us, it seems to happen in one night. By the way, you can follow Santa's progress right now at noradsanta.org and join me right here for the Mannheim Steamroller American Christmas. I'm Chip Davis of Mannheim Steamroller, and Merry Christmas.
With Indeed, you can post a job in minutes and zero in on qualified candidates. Get started at Indeed.com/hire.
Logan Dental Associates has been serving Cache Valley for over 20 years. They are excited to announce the addition of Dr. Brandon Preby, hygienist Emily Preby, and Dr. Curtis Taylor. Dr. Preby and Dr. Taylor will also continue to work at Cherry Creek Dental in Richmond. Now allow for increased hours and advanced services at Logan Dental Associates in Logan. Call and make your appointment with Dr. Brandon Preby or Dr. Curtis Taylor at Logan Dental Associates by calling 435-787-8207.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show. Clay Travis in solo, Buck on vacation. He's going to break down the latest in the aftermath of Joe Biden's speech for how they're going to tackle the COVID surge across America. Plus, you've got guest journalist David Zweig on a flawed mask study the CDC was using, and Coach Dick Vermeil. That and more with Clay at the helm on the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
The Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council present the story of Tom and Levi.
Tom is the smartest man I know. He's been a professor at 2 major universities, been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, he told me that he was having problems in his classes. I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. And he was telling them that he was doing it as a favor to them, but I think in reality, he just wanted to get out of there. I was really starting to worry because I saw something was wrong.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me, and my love for him was just immense.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Continuing on here with a listener-suggested topic for today's show. A listener emailed and said they had recently visited a site, the City Creek area of downtown Salt Lake. And, I'll just read a bit from the listener's email here. USU had quite a presence at the Utah Sports Hall of Fame Museum in downtown Salt Lake. And listener said, it'd be great to hear how this was put together, how people can go down and see it, upcoming events, and also how they curate items and various presentations for the museum itself. So we reached out and we found our way to a person who really deserves nearly a 10-minute segment just for an introduction, with a long list of achievements and recognitions over the years, from the first female referee to officiate a Utah High School Athletics Association boys basketball game, to the first woman to coach Division I women's sports at the University of Utah, and later became an athletic director of the Salt Lake Community College. We're joined now by a woman named Norma Carr, who is the former president and current boards member of the Utah Sports Hall of Fame Foundation. And Norma, appreciate taking some time for KVNU today. What a long list of sports-related achievements. And as I have been informed, you yourself are also in the Hall of Fame Museum, right?
Yes. I'm in the, I've been honored as an outstanding official as well as a coach of merit. So, yes. And I love to talk about the museum, so I'm more than thrilled to be on this show with you.
Well, I think it's fair to say, Norma, that there are probably few who have seen as much of Utah sports as you have. This museum, though, having been there for a bit now and open to the public the entire time, is something many people haven't heard about. Located in the City Creek area, the museum at specifically 99 West South Temple in Salt Lake City. This draws quite a crowd every year, right?
Well, we grow every year, and of course, we're in about our third year. We're in the third year right now of opening that facility, and of course, we got hit just like everybody else during the pandemic for several months being down. So that you have to start all over again, almost getting people once people get out of the house again, right?
Sure. That's and luckily that's a bit safer for us to all do now. And this museum is open to the public. Norma, our listener, specifically the listener sending in this idea for a topic today, wanted to know, how you decide what is represented there at the museum itself, and how it all came to be. Whose idea was this to begin with?
Well, it was during my presidency of the Utah Sports Hall of Fame Foundation that the Delta Center, they decided to remodel it. And when they did that, our display in the Delta Center, which was simply a trophy case with plaques and names and things like that in it, got put in a box. And,
wow.
And then they did away with a lot of walls and things like that because they opened up their facility more. So we didn't have a place to display our honorees. And so we started exploring several different ways and what we wanted to do, and finally decided to bite the bullet and make a Hall of Fame museum. And we explored and got a space in the City Creek Mall, and we fundraised over $1 million to build this facility out. And then we also got support from the legislature to help us with the sustainable costs, as we go year to year to year. So, it was out of necessity. And now we have a very modern, interactive type of a display with phenomenal pictures and monitors where you can look people up, and sometimes you can hear for the Hall of Famers what we call the stories from the vault. And we're trying to get all of our 200, almost 300 plus Hall of Famers that with their stories, but it takes money, and so we're having to raise another $500,000 to try to complete that project.
Sure, and this is to go out, and as I understand it, you guys are actually interviewing these sports, these Hall of Famers going back decades, interviewing them, talking to them about their experience, and then making that a part of sort of interactive displays.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Their stories from the vault, and they interview them, and then we have a great gentleman that puts the stories together, so it's an emotional story that tells about them and their experiences. And, of course, let's face it, a good share of our past has passed on.
Sure.
And so we have to do it through other people's eyes and things like that. And if there's any film on them, then we try and capture that.
That is... So an obvious question here, if someone out there listening is... they've got something, maybe some video or audio of a family member or written stories or things like that. They should definitely reach out, right? And see if they can be included in the museum.
Well, how they, if we have somebody, what this museum is about is the people that are honored in it. And we honor high school coaches. We honor coaches of merit, which are college or people that have done high school and college.
Oh, wow.
We honor officials. We honor distinguished service people. And we also give scholarships every year. So we have lists of scholarships of who gets scholarships for what high schools and where they've gone to school in Utah and used that money. And so we have some things, too. We have some interactive things where you can take a luge ride through virtual goggles.
Oh, wow.
And you can test your knowledge of sports or Hall of Fame people on some things. And we also have cases with memorability in them. We have Gene Fulmer's, I don't know how many people are boxers on this call, but we have Gene Fulmer's belt his championship belt. And
oh, really?
Which doesn't even compare with today's belts, for championships. But we have several things like that people can see, as well as we also highlight our current, just recently inducted 5 Hall of Famers with their intro speech. As you can hear that if you want, or you can hear their stories. So and then we have what I call the brag board, which is all the Utah colleges and what national championships they have won in what years.
Oh,
so that's also in the museum for people to look at.
That is very nice. This is, again, the museum located in downtown Salt Lake at 99 West South Temple, there on the corner, northwest corner of the City Creek Mall. And it is open to the public. It's free admission. They do also offer some, parking, 2-hour free parking, things like that. So easy to get to, but they do depend on community support. And you can support the museum a couple of different ways, as Norma has mentioned here. But a good place to start is checking out the website, utahsportshalloffame.org. You can see a lot more about the museum, take some virtual tours, see upcoming events, times you might want to go down and visit there. Again, located on the corner of City Creek. You can't miss it, really, but the address is listed at the website, utahsportshalloffame.org. And as Norma has mentioned, they are looking for community support in the form of both donations to help them finish some of these projects, but also if you happen to have Hall of Fame memorabilia, stories from family or relatives that would be relevant to the Hall of Fame Foundation and Museum, reach out to them. utahsportshalloffame.org, the website again. Thank you again to you, Norma Carr, who is the former president, current board member of the Utah Sports Hall of Fame Foundation. And Norma, you guys are doing some great work there. Appreciate taking some time to join us here on KVNU today. And listeners, appreciate you tuning in. Please stay tuned. More of KVNU's For the People coming up right after this.
Cache Valley Bank's newest branch is now open in Preston. I'm Lance Zollinger, and I'm excited to announce Cache Valley Bank is now open inside Stokes Marketplace. If you're an existing customer, you'll love the convenience. If you're not a customer, we'd love to have you open a new account with us, or even talk with us about a loan for your farm or business. Cache Valley Bank, a community bank where decisions are still made locally, now open in Preston. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
You know what our family loves to do in the winter? We rent a cabin in Bear Lake. We play in the snow, gather around the fireplace, play games, and tell stories. Sometimes we go out to eat. Sometimes we stay in and watch a movie. You've got to try Bear Lake this winter. Your family will love it.
Start a fun new tradition this winter. Visit Bear Lake for some fun winter activities. Snowmobiling, skiing, sledding, beautiful scenery. Bear Lake has it all. Go to bearlake.org for hotel and cabin rentals and a list of things to do. That's bearlake.org.
Wow, Mike, you look terrific. How you liking the new job?
It's terrific, Meg. I've lost so much weight since working at Polylift, I need new pants.
How about we get you into something more comfortable?
Bet you my old bell bottoms will fit.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Get a job that'll make you fit. Polylift offers competitive wages and an active 9-to-5 that'll get your wife's attention. Visit poly-lift.com for more details or call or text 435-999-9309. Polylift is locally owned and operated.
Merry Christmas, Aggie Nation, from your friends at Locker 42. You've been asking, and they're finally here. These Old Main Christmas ornaments have just arrived. These ornaments look amazing and will hang proudly from your Christmas tree. It's a perfect gift for anybody who loves the fighting blue and white. And Locker 42 also has Mountain West Conference Championship gear available. Commemorative T-shirts are $18, long sleeve $24. Merry Christmas from Locker 42.
Hearing loss is a growing health issue among young adults and older Americans. Now is the time to preserve your hearing, limiting exposure to loud noises, using ear protection when attending sports events or music concerts, and following the 60-60 rule, limiting the use of earbud headphones to 60 minutes at a time and at 60% of maximum volume. A public service message from the Hearing Loss Association of America, High Health Innovations, and this station.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Wrapping up today's show on not such a positive note, another story in the Salt Lake Tribune involving, well, I would say just incompetence on the part of both universities and university police when it comes to allegations of rape, providing resources for students who have been the victim of sexual assault. This is hot on the heels of a story just yesterday, and then, of course, a story up here in northern Utah last week leading to the resignation of USU police chief after some comments he made, speaking with football players, showing that he was definitely incompetent at his job. This, of course, is something that the Salt Lake Tribune's paid a lot of attention to for a couple of different reasons. Several years ago, tragic story of a University of Utah student who did everything a student is supposed to do to report an abusive situation, a relationship that had led to some stalking, threats upon her life, stabbed tires, things like that. University of Utah wrestling with that still, how that happened and how they can make sure it doesn't happen again, leading to basically a cleaning house of the university police department. And hopefully that police chief, who still to this day defends his choices, never works again in law enforcement. Unfortunately, that is all too often not the way this ends. Yesterday, a story in the Salt Lake Tribune about a lawsuit that was launched by a student who said that, well, basically her story in her lawsuit is going to go forward. A judge has ruled after she filed suit over allegations that USU brushed aside women who report sexual assault, and in this specific situation involving a member of the football team, that lawsuit will move forward. A judge has ruled. Then today, report from the Salt Lake Tribune on another lawsuit against two schools here in Utah by a student. The schools, Utah Valley University and the University of Utah, being sued for basically what looks like a clear violation of Title IX rules. In this federal lawsuit, a student who agreed to be named by the university, her name is Marissa Root, or by the Salt Lake Tribune. She agreed to be named because she said she's manning this lawsuit to try and make change. She wants to follow this through and felt that putting her name out there would help with her allegations. Her lawsuit, federal lawsuit, alleges, and again, this is now the second lawsuit of this type. In Root's case, she's suing two schools. The previous story from late last week was a former student that is suing Utah State University for not taking rape allegations seriously. Root is suing Utah Valley University and the University of Utah for both not taking the allegations seriously, but also not providing her resources, which universities are required to do under Title IX rules. In the federal lawsuit, Root alleges that two schools didn't meet their Title IX obligations, nor did they coordinate to look into her allegations because her allegations were against a player, a football player. And she said she was also denied resources by the school. That is a clear violation of federal Title IX rules. There's no question about that. Utah Valley said they couldn't provide her resources because, unbelievably, the alleged perpetrator didn't attend the school, which has nothing to do with the resources they should have supplied to her under Title IX obligations. University of Utah, they told her to go to the University of Utah, where the alleged perpetrator of the rape she experienced is a student. He's a football player there. And she said she went to the University of Utah, and they told her that their responsibility was to, even more unbelievably, the alleged perpetrator of the rape, because he was a student there. In her lawsuit, she said, legal requirements aside, they had a responsibility to me as a student, and she fears what could be happening to others who are in the same situation even now. The Salt Lake Tribune reached out to Daniel Carter, president of Safety Advisors for Educational Campuses, professional organization that works to advise schools and make sure they are Title IX compliant and things like that. And Carter said, legal requirements aside, this was a pass-the-buck system, and it can be deadly. He said, while another school's ability to respond to a victim of sexual misconduct may be limited, it isn't non-existent. At a minimum, they can provide connections and coordinate together to connect a student with community resources, at least, ensuring that a student gets the supportive measures in their situation at their home institution, and then consider disciplinary action so long as the code provides for it. Here's where the story gets me firmly. Last week I said I'm wondering if it's time to do away with campus police. BYU has fought the state for a few years now, the state wanting to basically decertify BYU police after stories, a big one just last week from the Salt Lake Tribune on this as well, that the BYU police, when someone came to them with a rape allegation, a sexual assault allegation, instead of immediately being an investigation, they were first passing the information, including the victim's personal information, on to the Honor Code Committee for a private institution. That is, one, illegal, and two, that is police not doing their job. So the state is all on BYU for this, and we'll see where that goes in the upcoming legislative session. That had me mostly in the camp of, universities shouldn't have their own police departments. These last few stories from the Salt Lake Tribune of police departments from USU to U of U to Utah Valley University basically not taking their jobs very seriously, or even if they are, being very incompetent at those jobs, and that's what all three of these stories present. Maybe it's time that we did away with campus police. Both of these lawsuits, the one against USU, the one against U of U and UVU in the story just today, are just the latest to raise some pretty serious concerns about how universities and colleges respond when a student reports sexual assault or other serious crimes. The University of Utah, as I said, previously facing criticism and an ongoing lawsuit, a lawsuit they lost, or settled at least, after how it handled student-athlete Lauren McCluskey reports. Again, she did everything you're supposed to do and could not get the university police to do what they're supposed to do, and she's dead. I mean, it's that plain. BYU, again, fighting the state over how officers shared information on students reporting assaults to the school's Honor Code office before beginning an investigation. That's sharing personal information about a victim that police are not supposed to do. Utah State University, again, under this new lawsuit, is currently, before the lawsuit even, under federal monitoring from the Justice Department. Even before all of this, the story about the recordings of police chief and football coach at USU making some comments to the team that they really should have been smarter than to make, both of them. But focusing on the police here, they're there to do a job, and story after story here in Utah, at least, I'm sure you could find more from around the country, showing that they don't appear to be very good at it. And Utah Valley University deserves some additional criticism here for, again, in this latest story of a lawsuit reported today by the Tribune, telling a student they couldn't help her because the person who raped her didn't go to school there. Who's training these folks on Title IX compliance? That's a clear violation. Back to the police, though, honestly, fully in the camp at this point of a need to do away with campus police. It's going to require some additional state funding, a lot more, but let the professionals in city police, wherever the university is located, handle campus safety. It won't go perfectly, but it'll go a lot better than it appears to be going. If you'd like to read these stories, both are linked on our Facebook page. Tomorrow on the show, we're going to be talking Christmas shopping. Shopping this year, some retail numbers reveal, at Christmas time actually overshadowed the shopping turnout for Black Friday, usually the biggest shopping holiday of the year. What are consumers spending on, especially here in Utah? You'll be surprised. I was. We'll talk about it tomorrow on For the People at 4 o'clock. Dave Ramsey is next. Sorry. Dave Ramsey, followed by high school basketball, is next here on KVNU Logan.